Hi, I'm Bill Malik. Today I'll be presenting a joint solution from EnterpriseWeb and Red Hat for Telco-grade Agentic AI. The two companies have a long history of collaboration, including many award-winning catalysts and other projects across the industry. Together, EnterpriseWeb and Red Hat provide a comprehensive agent and model management platform. You can pause and zoom in on the detail if you like, but needless to say, it covers all of the capabilities you need for developing and operating agents at scale. Here you'll see the fit. EnterpriseWeb is deployed above the cluster, providing a harmonized standards-based model over OpenShift's AI infrastructure agent and model management platform, supporting telco-grade agentic AI. The scenario for this demo is a developer using a CLI-based interface to have a natural language conversation with the EnterpriseWeb platform so it can generate LangGraph agents that are going to be capable of deploying and managing network services, all of this being hosted on the OpenShift AI cluster. The actual use case itself that the agent will deploy and manage will be a secure 5G gateway using open source projects Aether from the Linux Foundation for a 5G core and Chameleon IMS. It'll be deployed by EnterpriseWeb using Ansible playbooks as part of the deployment for the IMS itself. And then the presentation itself will actually feature integrations with Snowflake's AI Data Cloud to act as an inventory and a source for telemetry, and then a ServiceNow incident management system, which you'll see interactions with as part of the demo. The demo itself is going to be delivered in 3 parts. This will be the first of a series of 3. In this video, the first of the series, you'll see me rapidly and declaratively design LangGraph agents. You'll see I'll have a simple conversation in the CLI with the EnterpriseWeb platform to generate a couple of domain-specific agents to manage our services and the applications that compose them. And then you'll see me have another conversation to build a coordination agent, which will support our end-to-end use case. You'll see me do that in a couple of minutes, and you'll see how the power of our platform makes that really fast, really easy, and you'll see in the later demos how rich the solution actually is that it delivers. So here we see EnterpriseWeb's platform deployed in OpenShift. We are already authorized in a CLI, just the same way that you would be authorized to use a CLI for OpenShift. That's what we're going to be working with to coordinate with the platform itself. So what we're going to do now is have a simple conversation to build those agents that we wanted. So this entire process is guided by the EnterpriseWeb Ontology, which is actually providing a model-driven process for us to describe the agent that we want. So we'll create a new agent. We'll call, also it's identified that there's an OpenShift cluster that we could deploy into. That instance of EnterpriseWeb that we're using to build the agents, we can actually use to manage them. So to deploy OpenShift operators, to manage the deployed service, and we'll get to that in a moment. But yes, we would like to do that. We'll call this our Service Manager agent. And right away, it's giving us both API-based access to create and manage the service itself, or sorry, the agent itself, and that's walking us through its configuration. In this case, we would like this to be a worker orchestrator, which allows it to actually perform functions and so on. So we'll go ahead and do that. We want it to use the EnterpriseWeb security model, so we want that to be inherited so that it has all of our rights and privileges for working throughout the clusters that we're configured with. We want to use a Granite small model to power this particular agent. We want it to work in the telecom domain. We want it to act as simply an agent interface in this case. We don't want any sort of human level interaction. We'll build a coordination agent for that in a little while. And then right away it's guiding us through the use of EnterpriseWeb's personas. So I can take on the role of modules and capabilities that we've developed for doing things like service management, for instance, which is what I want to do in this kind of a case. I want to be able to order and manage services. Would you like to interact with any additional endpoints, right? In this case, yes, we want to work with the Snowflake Data Cloud. So let's go ahead and do that. It pulls out any sort of MCP server or other tool that we've already onboarded into the EnterpriseWeb platform. So in this case, I want this agent to be able to talk to Snowflake as well. And it will continuously give me updates as to what this agent is being configured to do. Right now, we can use the service management capabilities and query the inventory. We don't want anything else. In this case, since we're working with Snowflake, it notices additional capabilities, like the ability to do what they call semantic models, which is actually pushback analysis our agent might do so that you can query it through the Snowflake endpoints itself, which we'll do at in the third of the demos. So yeah, nice capability. We'll add that as well. What other interfaces do we want on top of this LangGraph bundle? We'll just put A to A and MCP. And then at the end, it's giving us the opportunity to actually deploy as an OpenShift operator. So to have the system generate for me and deploy this service right down into OpenShift, so I don't really have to do anything beyond basically the conversation we're having now. So let's go ahead and do that. And just like that, we have a service, an agent that's already configured to work as basically service management on our behalf. It's been compiled down to a package that you can use and deploy in your own cluster if you want. It's already been deployed for me, and it's ready to go. Now, let's repeat the process. Let's just do it a little bit faster for our second agent, an application manager that's going to do sort of low-level XNF configs. All right, so we'll go ahead and do that. Yes, we want a new agent. Yes, we want to host it on the same place. We'll call it our application config agent. Same thing, we want it to be a worker. We want the same kind of security. We'll select the same Granite model. And we will, again, deploy this as a headless agent. We're just going to pick different capabilities that we're going to bind to it. So an application manager for app config and management. Yes, we would like an additional endpoint. In this case, we'd like this agent to be able to work and use Ansible. So we have one of those endpoints already onboarded into the system, and you'll notice at any point, I could walk through a process where it would help me configure a new endpoint, a data source, MCP server, etc., whatever I want to enable this agent to work with as, sort of quote-unquote tools. So we'll add Ansible to this case. We're happy with what we have already. Answer a couple more questions, and just like that, it's deployed in OpenShift already. So we've got two agents that are all ready to go, that are domain specific, have sort of reduced scopes. They know what they know about what we've sort of permissioned them to work with. So one is application configuration, one is service management. They have extended capabilities. One can look at the Snowflake Data Cloud, one can use Ansible, but we want to make a multi-agent coordinator. Right? So let's go ahead and, again, repeat the process one more time. We'll create a new agent. We'll call it, we'll use the same cluster. In this case, what we want to be able to actually do is create a multi-agent system. So we'll go ahead and implement that pattern. Again, we'll take the EnterpriseWeb security model, but now it's starting to ask different questions. Do we want to extend this to our agents, right? So they basically inherit, or do we want to make them individually log in? All those kinds of things are all going to be taken care of for you by this agent. So yes, we want to inherit, take those capabilities. Now we have a couple of additional patterns here that we can work with for the multi-agent system. We're not just going to adopt a persona, we're actually going to configure a multi-agent workflow. In this case, we actually have an LLM router or an agent router that's actually built over an EnterpriseWeb, what we call a blueprint. But basically what this does is, it's going to configure llm-d behind the scenes so that it can act as an agent router. So that this agent that we're going to talk to, which is going to have a small, a nano-based LLM, will be able to understand which agent to route our decisions to and how to coordinate them. So we'll go ahead and actually implement that pattern. It's going to ask us basically what's the base LLM that I want to use for this. We'll use a Granite Nano model, so the smallest model we have possible. We'll put this in the telecom domain. Now, what agents do you want to coordinate? This is a nice question, right? We registered a couple of agents earlier. You can see them up here. We can, of course, add new ones to the mix individually, or we can just say all that we've sort of created already in our session. So we'll go ahead and do that. We want this to have a chat interface, though. We want to actually be able to talk to this agent. And since you're going to be executing operations across multiple agents, EnterpriseWeb has things like, safe guarantees on transactions, right? So we can actually treat this as a distributed transaction. So if one of the agents went down in the middle of a multi-agent operation, the system would roll back and perform all those kinds of things that we really want our systems to be able to do if they're going to be telco grade. So we'll go ahead and we'll authorize that. We'll add additional interfaces to it. We'll push it into OpenShift. And just like that, our agent is actually deployed and we can start using it. In this demo, you saw me have a simple text-based conversation in a CLI with the Enterprise Web Platform and generate a multi-agent system that is going to be able to deliver our use case. Be sure to watch the other demos in the series to see just how rich the solution is that we developed.